Hi friend, and welcome to my back patio. Now this patio is dirty. It needs a good cleaning, and you and I are going to clean it together on this gorgeous weekend day. My name is Cindy and I'm with ReinventedDelaware.com. We love to share projects that we've upcycled and repurposed, and then we love to share those projects with you. And sometimes we just like to share what we're doing around here. And it just so happens this patio needs a cleaning. Look how filthy it is. Oh my goodness, this is the result of water and moisture sitting for months and months. It's time to give it a good cleaning, so that's what we're doing today. Once the patio's clean, we're going to redecorate. We're going to refresh this space and get it all ready for the summer. I'll share some of the projects that we've already done for this back patio, so stay tuned for those projects. And I have a couple of new things. I'm going to be working on that table. I'll be planting some new plants and some planters that I found at Big Lots. And let's see what else. Oh, we're going to install a new sunshade over top of our wooden pergola. Alrighty, let's get this cement patio clean. Now the first step, of course, is to remove everything off the patio. That just makes it easier. For some of the heavier things, like that table, I had my husband eventually help me to carry it off into the yard, so that's great. And then I have a lot of things on casters. That's a great tip for these heavy planters. I'll share with you how I did it on that really big hydrangea planter that you see there in the background. I did a project for that last summer, I think it was, but anyway, you'll see how I added casters to that. So we have this power washer, and this is my first time using it. You saw me fiddling with the nozzle. Come to find out, you not only hook it up to the hose and then start the motor up and all that, there's also a little tip that goes on that will give you the direction of the sprayer. Well, you know how a water, what is that thing called? A pressure washer. You know how it works. I'd forgotten to put the little tip on the very end, so that took me a minute to figure out. I started working on the green areas and they were not budging. Now that corner there in the back patio, on our back patio, is the shadiest spot, and it really does get damp and wet back there, so that green stuff just really grows. So I grabbed some bleach. This might upset some of you. I'm sorry about that, but this is the thing that works, in my opinion, on a patio. If you have a better solution, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear it. While the bleach was kind of doing its work, I grabbed my breakfast. I have homemade Greek yogurt and frozen berries and walnuts on top. That is such a good treat. I will link to you my recipe for making homemade Greek yogurt. It's super cheap to make and so easy. I'm going to have that blog post linked down below in the description so you can go and make your own yogurt. Over to the right of the screen, you will see a little breezeway. Now to the far right is the door to our laundry room, and then to the left in that area is out to our garage, the workshop that you see me in often. And I always have a little stack of wood there in the winter just because I think it looks nice. So I brought that stack of wood and I added it to this big stack, this big wood box that my husband just recently built. We have an outdoor fireplace and we really do enjoy it. And it's nice to be able to have the wood right there. At this point in the game, I've been working for a couple of hours. This is a lot of work and I don't move as fast as I used to move. So when I got to this point here at the end, oh my goodness, it was just such a relief. And I knew that I was going to have lunch out in the shade as soon as I was finished. I went ahead and cleaned that breezeway area as best I could. Now we still have some rust stains on the concrete. I'm not really sure how to get rid of those. If you guys have an idea of how to get rid of rust, please let me know. I would love to give it a try. You can see here the shade that we have on our pergola. And it is a little sketchy. I'll be showing you more about the shade and what we do about that here on this pergola. It gets really hot here in this area of our yard, and we needed a better solution. We've been using a shade cloth that would be used on a greenhouse. You can barely see it there at the top of our pergola. It's sitting on top of the pergola. Anyway, it is a black shade cover that you would put on the exterior of a greenhouse to provide some shade. But it doesn't work as well as what we wish that it would have worked. I mean, it did okay for a few bucks, but not the solution that we wanted. So I actually had a company reach out to me, and they were wondering if we would like to have a new sunshade for our backyard. Well, we have a pergola, so it's going to work a little differently than what the sunshade is intended. I'll show you how we make this work. But in the meantime, my husband needed to take down our existing shade cover. You can see it hanging there on the left. It's torn, it's tattered. It still allows in a lot of light, which, because it's for a greenhouse, that's what it's intended to do. But it just did not provide the shade that we wanted so that it would be cooler here on our backyard patio. I mentioned that a company asked if I would be interested in showing this product, and I am interested in showing it, but rest assured, they're not sponsoring this video by any means. I do have a full blog post written about this shade cover, so you can see all the details about it, and I'll have it linked down below. Now, they were kind enough to offer a discount of 15% off if you use my code. I'm going to put it here on the screen so that you can use the code if you need to get a shade cover like this. We're using it on top of our pergola, but it is made to be used without any kind of wooden structure. So all you have to do is put the hardware into a secure place, like for instance, the frame of our home, and then you use the hardware that you see there on the left to connect the two, and you pull this sunshade nice and tight, and then it provides shade wherever you want. You can get it in a custom size, you can get it in a rectangle, in triangles, I mean all sorts of sizes to meet your specific needs. We've had it up for a couple of weeks now, and we really are enjoying it. It provides more shade than the other cover that we've been using. Let's put this backyard patio back together. Now, that big hydrangea, it's one of those incredible, and it is incredible. I cannot believe how big it is, and I'm deciding where to put it. Should I put it there in the corner? Should I move it back between the two hanging ferns? I ultimately settle on it between the ferns because it looks the best there, but it's a lot taller than I expected. You also see that I brought the rug back in for underneath of our table area. I used the power washer on it, and it cleaned it up great. Now I'll have that rug linked down below. I grabbed it from Walmart a couple years ago, and I'm pretty sure that I can find that link. It's really held up well. My husband cut a small piece of foam, and he put it over top of that piece of wood to prevent any wear and tear on the sunshade. It's the next day, and it was on a Sunday, and we had just gotten home from church, and we had lunch, and then we jumped right back into the projects. My husband grabbed this railing. Now, this railing was in one of our daughter's homes. She has a 1960s home that they are remodeling, and she didn't want this piece, and I said, oh, I'll take it. I don't know what we'll do with it, but we'll find something to do with it. So stay tuned to see what we do with this old 1960s railing. Let's move on to working on this table. Now, here's the backstory on this table. One of my sisters was getting rid of her dining room table, and it was that black base that you see, and it had a solid glass top, and she was just tired of it, so she gave it to me, and I didn't want the glass top. Instead, I asked my husband if he would build a wooden top for the top surface, and that's exactly what he did. He got some oak boards and he built this table several years ago. Well, we've just had a clear coat on it, and I've loved that look, but you know me, I love change. So I sanded it down to bare wood, and that took a good 2 hours. I started with 80 grit and had to work all the way back to 220. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it because look at it now. And then my husband took this Picklin Stain. I'll have this link down below. It's an oil-based stain, and it's an easy way to whitewash a piece of furniture. And he just rubbed it over the whole thing with an old sock, and it got all into the grain, and then we allowed to dry completely before I clear coat it. So you'll see that here in just a little bit. Recently, I was at Big Lots, and I happened to be there on the perfect day because they had all of their pots, their outdoor potting pots, on sale. Now, usually the prices at Big Lots are usually very good anyway, but on this particular day, they were marked 50% off. And if you bought more than one of the same pot, you got an additional 20% off. So you'll see at the end of this video all of the pots. They look just like that blue one there on the right. You'll see them all. I got blue, I got a neutral color. Anyway, I would have spent about $400 on all of these pots, and I ended up spending only about $100, so I was thrilled. I went through my own yard and I did some shopping, and I found some hostas that needed help, like this one. It is root bound, and I just split them up. Now here's one of the ways that I split them up. I like to rinse them out really well, and then I grab some of my hand gardening tools and I just start hacking at it and chopping it up. And I know that there's a better way to do it. Like, you can get a big shovel with a pointed end and you can divide them up that way. I didn't. I am a big one on using whatever I have on hand, and I had my hand tools close, so this is what I did. And you can see that these were very root bound hostas. So I think I wound up getting about 4 plants out of it. I split it in half, and then I split it in half again. And I'll be using these hostas in the pots that I bought at Big Lots. And you're going to love how I have these planted. I did something special this year. I have probably at least 20 varieties of hostas all over our yard. So what I did was I went and found one of as many as I could, and I divided them up. So here in the big pots, because they're huge, I put 3 different hostas in these pots. Now, when you put a hosta in a pot outdoors, it will come back year after year after year, and it is fuss-free planting that is just so pretty on a backyard patio like this one. While I was getting those pots ready, my husband started working on this side of our back patio, and he got his big impact drill, whatever this thing is called, and he's drilling holes in the concrete. Can't wait to show you what we're going to do here. This looks like an ant hole, doesn't it? It made me imagine an ant underground digging and burrowing, and this is what it would look like, only he did this with a drill. While my husband worked on that project over there on the left-hand side of our back patio, I decided to transplant this honeysuckle. I had just purchased this honeysuckle plant and put it in this black pot, but when I got these new pots, this one was larger, and I thought, you know what, I think it's going to last better if I put it in this pot. So that's what I did. I added some more soil, and these pots, by the way, have a big hole in the bottom. So what I did, I put a piece of cardboard in the very bottom so that the water won't just run out, but it would still allow drainage. That cardboard will, it'll allow the dirt to stay in, but some of the moisture to drip out as needed, but still keep the moisture in the pot. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I had just repotted this brand new honeysuckle plant in the black pot, but honestly, it was not large enough. So when I got this new pot, I knew that it would be the perfect size for this honeysuckle plant. So I transplanted it in there. Now you're going to notice there that tray that the potted plant is on. It is made from a little fence. And in fact, I will link a blog post down below because I have a blog post tutorial of how to make one of these, what do you call them? Casters that you put your heavy pots on. I don't know what that's called. Let me know down in the comments. But it's basically a tray with casters that you put your heavy pots on so that you can move them around when you need to. I made some out of old fence pickets, and I'll link that blog post down below. So here are some of the other pots that I already have that I did not replace. All I did was grab some outdoor paint, and I painted them. This is a custom color that I have, and I painted them, and I happen to have this color that coordinated with my new pot, so it was perfect. My husband put the finishing touches on the project that he was working on with this special drill that he has, and he used bolts in the concrete, and then he used these specialty screws, and that is holding down this railing that we got from our daughter's home that was built in the 1960s, so it was kind of out of style. She didn't want it, but I knew that we could put it to good use. This railing on the side of our cement patio is going to be used as a trellis for that honeysuckle plant, and it's going to be perfect. I'm excited for it to fill out and just stretch out across that railing. You'll see it there on the right-hand side. You'll also see it as I give you this little tour of our backyard patio. It's all clean and fresh, new potted plants with fresh soil, new pots and painted pots. We have some other projects here that you've seen before, like that hanging light there over top of our table. I will have the blog post linked for that so that if you want to make a hanging light out of lampshades like I did, you'll know just how to do it. You'll also see all the beautiful shade that is being offered by that sunshade. And by the time that the evening comes, it is perfect, the perfect amount of shade. This is about 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can see our patio is perfectly shaded. Now, if you're interested in getting a sunshade like the one that we have custom made for your area, I'm going to have a link down in the description, and if you use my code REINVENT15, I'll put it on the screen so that you can get it just right. When you're at checkout, use that code and you'll get 15% off of your sunshade. I'm also going to link some of the blog posts and other videos that I have showing some of the projects that we have here on our back patio, like that hanging light, the big black planter that I made. It was a $2 planter that we now have that beautiful hydrangea in. And let's see, there's a step ladder that I turned into a plant stand. There's all sorts of things here on our back patio. I'll link those blog posts so that you can go and make some projects for your own backyard patio. For now, just sit back and relax and enjoy this tour of our outdoor space. I hope you enjoyed this tour of our patio, and I hope that you are inspired to spruce up your patio for the summer months. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.